And we're back. So, I think in today's episode, I want to talk about recalibrating because a lot of stuff has been happening. And there's a certain adjustment that I feel like has to be imposed on myself. Granted, that once you actually kind of make a plan and you're okay with stuff going out and not necessarily kind of like falling in place. But then when the whole sense of direction kind of gets destroyed, it, you have to recalibrate a whole lot of decision making that you did, a whole lot of decisions you did, a whole lot of choices you did, and the entire sense of direction that you did. I found myself a bit, I don't know, I want to say pointy, but my thought process over the past 3 4 days has been more pointing at certain things and realizing how my thoughts kind of like transfer to a bit of anger, and it doesn't go anywhere, right? Like anger doesn't take you anywhere. It literally doesn't. And it can be helped because when you feel like you're wronged, when you feel something went wrong, when you feel like something could have been done but for some reason it didn't work out, you always kind of have those feelings lingering. And I think it's a selfish approach as human beings that we tend to like automatically dive into. So recalibration, the best way I can explain it is around April, like the person I started working with gave me a phone call, and he was like mid-April, and he was like, "Listen, man, I want to start an e-commerce business, and there's a way for us to do this, and there's this guy that gives a class, a course, and we could follow his lead and we can like initiate." And my response was definitely doable, naturally, given the past 2 years of my life. And it's definitely something that's tangible within the short term because it doesn't necessarily require skill. Everything is set for you. You don't have to build anything from scratch. Everything is set for you. And that was the thought process that I started moving towards when it came to agreeing to it. And the main reason I agreed to it is because I wanted to move out of the house. As old as I am, I was still living with my parents because when I moved back, I had nowhere else to go. And I'm thankful and grateful for that. But it's not, it just, there's a whole dynamic that you kind of leave the house to get out of. And sadly, family doesn't necessarily look at you any differently if you have changed. They always look at the image they created of you a long time ago, and they try to sustain that, and their behavior like is interactive with that image. So, and for 2 months all I did was basically I finished what I was doing. I finished my website, which did not necessarily like finish deploying, but like if I check it on my computer it's working. When I put it online it's not, which is a different level that I have to actually grow within my coding programming journey and web development. So I have to level up my web development skills. But I decided to take that as a break in order for me to dive into like e-coms while I research more about web development in order for me to understand the things that I could be missing. Remember, I'm doing all of this on my own. I have nobody to guide me. At best. Every 3 4 months, I meet somebody who's into this stuff or is working for a company, and I have a small conversation with them. But each one has their own like space that they kind of don't want to leave, especially when they build it. Restrictive spaces kind of like keep you within your own realm. It doesn't matter how smart you are, the best you can output into the world is whatever space, the size your outreach is. That's my philosophy. So, so now it's kind of like one of those double-edged swords that kind of like taught me a whole lot over the past couple of months, especially when it came to like understanding how people make decisions or where their decisions go. But it also allowed me to look at why I kind of made that decision. And as patient as I was, I took the e-commerce business as an opportunity for me to kind of like get out of my own funk, get my funding in order, get my house in order, and be able to like delve into what I'm building without the whole drama of living with my parents. That's something huge, man. It's the smaller things that they do, and they don't do it on purpose. They're just that's their house. Everyone develops habits within their house, and then suddenly you're like, "Fuck, man, I can't even open my mouth because it's not my house. I'm a guest slash living there." Even sometimes I'd feel like the house is more of a hotel room because I don't want to be there. So I just like whatever. But anyways, as I progressed in the recalibration, I realized there's a lot of anger in me. And that anger was very much, like I said earlier, pointy. And anytime I kind of like my thoughts were pointing at something, it creates a certain dialogue between me and it, or a certain reasoning between me and how I would approach it. And I think that's how the mind works. Granted, I am very much, I consider myself a good person, and I believe I am a good person, and I trust that I am a good person. I started noticing, like, they always end with a bit more like anger, which is a bit of resentment that I probably hold. And I was writing about it today, and I realized that the main reason why is because I took power from me and I kind of gave it to the randomness of life that kind of gave me that opportunity, or kind of gave me that whole. It's like somebody saying, "Do you want to eat?" You'd say yes because you're hungry, but then ending up giving you an ice cream sundae. It's something to eat. It's not food. It's not gonna support you, sustain you, or make you feel consistent over the next couple of days. In fact, if anything, you're gonna feel like down literally after eating it. It's gonna be amazing, and then the sugar rush goes down, and suddenly you feel more than hungry. You feel hungry and like grumpy, or all the other feelings that you get when you're not necessarily at your peak. And it made me realize that kind of anything devoid of my sense of direction, or anything like takes me away from my sense of direction, is going to be something that ends up this way. Which is horrible because the only things that contribute to the sense of direction for me right now is kind of like some form of mentorship. And anyways, I had to shave in order to take a picture for the CV, and I don't mind like shaving. I just like left my beard because I was like, I'm doing my own stuff, so why the hell wouldn't I? And that's the recalibration that I'm talking about. It's just understanding the sense of direction that I'm going towards, because the sense of direction is definitely a choice. And every decision towards it is going to be basically an option for me to do. And every single step is going to be life. And the entirety of what I want to do has never faltered, except the directions I take on a monthly, daily, weekly basis have kind of been testing things out. Like the last test was probably when I started the startup instead of me coding my website. And that was 5 months down the line before it failed. And right now I was like, maybe I need money in order to like finish. So over the past year, if you consider the year, since November last year till now, it's been like 9 months, let's say 8 months, 10 months. Over these 10 months, every single time I was only doing my project, I was moving at a very beautiful pace, growing, evolving, learning, and just basically like finishing stuff. And every single time I kind of like opted to take another opportunity or a chance to kind of like bring something into the project that's not necessarily me, I end up kind of learning different things which contribute evidently to everything, right? Because like I'm the kind of man, the project is only going to exist if I am the kind of man that makes it exist. So the more I am, the better the chances of this project succeeding, which made me kind of like look at the whole challenges that I've been facing as more of the reason why I have gotten this far. And right now, I am out of the house without anything stable or sustainable. And my only go to goal is to find a job in tech that allows me to code every day, to build up my skills, build up my understanding of what I'm trying to do, and help me just grow towards the man I need to be in order to be able to write the code that builds my website. Recalibration is very frustrating when things don't go according to plan, but the whole plan should contribute to the vision, and if it doesn't, that's where you get your frustrations. That's it. Thank you.